Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and Singapore to expand comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Wong move to enhance cooperation in AI and other sectors. Indian economy put on faster track as GST Council approves 2-rate tax slabs. Big relief for common man, farmers and industries. IIT Madras is India's top engineering college for the 7th year in a row. IIM Ahmedabad aims Delhi top in their respective categories. And President Macron and President Zelensky open Ukraine defense talks in Paris. Trump plans to hold more talks with both sides, Russia and Ukraine. A bond anchored in shared values, robust linkages and people-to-people contacts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held delegation-level talks with Singaporean counterpart Lawrence Wong at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi. This is Prime Minister Wong's first visit to India in his capacity as Singapore's Prime Minister. The two sides held comprehensive discussions focusing on avenues for deepening multifaceted partnership. Singapore's Prime Minister, his India visit is coinciding with the 60th anniversary of India-Singapore diplomatic relations, reaffirming the continued commitment of both countries to further strengthen partnership. So, following the bilateral talks, the two sides exchanged agreements in the fields of digital innovation, green transport, civil aviation, skill development and entrepreneurship, and space technology. Addressing the joint press meet, Prime Minister Modi said relations with Singapore go far beyond diplomacy. He informed that India and Singapore have prepared a detailed roadmap for the future of the partnership.
हमने अपनी पार्टनरशिप के भविष्य के लिए एक डिटेल्ड रोड मैप तैयार किया है। हमारा सहयोग केवल पारंपरिक क्षेत्रों तक सीमित नहीं रहेगा। बदलते समय के अनुरूप एडवांस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ग्रीन शिपिंग, स्किलिंग, सिविल न्यूक्लियर और अर्बन वाटर मैनेजमेंट जैसे क्षेत्र भी हमारे सहयोग के केंद्र बिंदु बनेंगे। हमने निर्णय लिया है कि आपसी व्यापार को गति देने के लिए द्विपक्षीय कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट और आसियान के हमारे फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट का समयबद्ध तरीके से रिव्यू किया जाएगा।
Asserting that technology and innovation are the strong pillars of the partnership, Prime Minister Modi said that the two leaders have decided that cooperation in artificial intelligence, quantum computing and other digital technologies will be enhanced.
टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन हमारी साझेदारी के मजबूत स्तंभ है। हमने तय किया है कि एआई, क्वांटम और अन्य डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजीज में सहयोग को बढ़ाया जाएगा। आज स्पेस सेक्टर में हुए समझौते से अंतरिक्ष विज्ञान क्षेत्र सहयोग में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। हमने निर्णय लिया है कि हमारे युवाओं को उनके टैलेंट को जोड़ने के लिए इस साल के अंत में इंडिया सिंगापुर हैकाथॉन का अगला राउंड किया जाएगा।
Prime Minister Lawrence Wong of Singapore, during his first official visit to India, thanked Prime Minister Modi for the hospitality and celebrating 60 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries. He said Singapore will continue to support India's skill development journey. Wong expressed optimism about collaborating with India to set up state-level skill centres to meet industry needs.
Singapore will continue to support India's skills development journey. We are honored to accept India's invitation to be a global partner for the National Centre of Excellence in Chennai, which will focus on advanced manufacturing. We will also collaborate with India to set up state-level skills centres to meet industry needs in sectors like aviation, maintenance, repair and overhaul, and semiconductors.
Strengthening maritime infrastructure and regional connectivity, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Wong virtually inaugurated the second phase of the development of BMCT, or Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal, developed in partnership with Singapore at Navi Mumbai's Jawaharlal Nehru Port. The second phase will enhance the handling capacity of PSA Mumbai BMCT to 4.8 million TEUs, thereby increasing the port's overall capacity to 10 million TEUs, making it India's largest container port. This milestone marks a significant step towards realizing India's maritime vision, fostering growth and strengthening the nation's presence on the global stage.
The two Prime Ministers jointly virtually inaugurated the Phase 2 development of the Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal (BMCT) at Jawaharlal Nehru Port, JNP, Maharashtra. This project, developed on a design, build, finance, operate and transfer (DBFOT) basis, is operated by PSA International of Singapore. It is noteworthy that completion of this phase has doubled PSA's terminal capacity to 4.8 million TEUs annually, establishing it as India's largest single container terminal and thus makes JNP the largest container port in the country.
Now, Indian economies are buzz with the GST 2.0 reforms. Major decisions have been taken by the Indian government to provide relief to individuals, common man and the aspirational middle class at the 56th GST Council meeting in New Delhi. The meeting was chaired by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. A two-slab system of 5% and 18% in GST rate was approved. Rates on individual insurance policy, medicines and daily essential items were cut. A report.
The 56th GST Council meeting, chaired by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Wednesday, gave its nod to a simplified two-slab system, 5% for essential or merit goods and 18% for standard items, with a steep 40% slab reserved for sin and luxury products. At a presser, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the main drivers of the economy, that is farmers and agriculture health, were the focus of the decision of the Council.
Common man items such as hair oil, toilet soap, bars, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, bicycles, tableware, kitchenware and other household articles have all come to 5, whether they were in 18 or whether they were in 12. Similarly, reduction of GST from 5% to nil, 5 से 0 में जाने वाले आइटम्स इंडिकेट कर रहा हूँ. अल्ट्रा हाई टेम्परेचर मिल्क, द UHT मिल्क, छेना और पनीर, all the Indian breads will see nil rate. So रोटी किसी के ऊपर भी, चपाती और रोटी और पराठा और whatever it is, they all come to nil. Reduction of GST from 12% or from 18% to 5%. इसमें फूड आइटम्स बहुत सारे हैं, नमकीन से भुजिया है, सॉसेस है, पास्ता है, इंस्टेंट नूडल्स है, चॉकलेट्स, कॉफ़ी, प्रिजर्व्ड मीट, कॉर्नफ्लेक्स, बटर, घी, ये सब 5% में आ रही है.
The Finance Minister also announced reduction of GST on 33 life-saving drugs and medicines from 12% to 0.
Health-related items, 33 life-saving drugs and medicines, and they all come down from 12 to 0. From 5 to 0 and 3 life-saving drugs and medicines used for treatment of cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that insurance services, which currently attract 18% GST, will now be fully exempt.
Exemption of GST on all individual life insurance policies, whether term life, ULIP, or endowment policies, and reinsurance thereof, to make insurance affordable for common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country. Exemption of GST on all individual health insurance policies, including family floater policies and policies for senior citizens, and reinsurance thereof to make insurance affordable for the common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country.
The GST Council also approved a special tax of 40% on sin goods such as cigarettes, pan masala, and gutka. However, they will not be implemented from September 22nd, but on a later date, which will be notified soon.
That special rate of 40% has also been proposed and it's cleared. That will apply only to pan masala, cigarettes, gutka, and other tobacco products such as chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, and BD. The changes in GST rates of all goods except for pan masala, gutka, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, BD, will be implemented with effect from 22nd September 25.
The next generation GST reforms, as announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th August 2025, represent a strategic, principled, and citizen-centric evolution of a landmark tax framework which will enhance the quality of life of every last citizen. Bureau Report, DD India.
So Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his happiness that the GST Council, comprising the Union and the states, collectively agreed to the GST reforms which will benefit the common man, farmers, MSMEs, middle class, women and youth. India Inc. too hailed the GST Council's forward-looking decision, saying clarity will ease compliance and give businesses and consumers much-needed predictability.
All of us in the industry are very enthused with the decision to review the GST rates because lowering the GST tariffs, especially for items that were otherwise in the luxury bracket to what has now become daily needs, air conditioners or entry cars are cases an example, will trigger a demand not just for the finished goods large companies but also for their supply chains that consists of several SMEs. This ripple effect that this kind of a triggering of demand will have will hopefully add to our GDP.
The approval of GST 2.0 marks a landmark reform in India's tax journey. The simplification of two primary slabs, 5% and 18%, with a special 40% rate for luxury and sin goods, will bring much needed predictability, ease of compliance, and a stronger foundation for investment and growth across industries. This is a forward-looking reform that will support both businesses and consumers.
The GST reform undertaken through the GST rate reduction and rationalization is a milestone for the Indian economy. This is not only will be propelling the domestic demand by reducing the prices of the product for the consumer. This has come at the most opportune time when Indian exports are facing huge headwinds, particularly with regard to high tariff by the US, and it will encourage the export companies to look into the domestic market very closely. We are very much encouraged by the government decision to provide the GST refund within 7 days' time, which will help in easing out the liquidity to the export sector, which is a key challenge at this point of time.
ASSOCHAM has been working very closely with our government to suggest various reforms for ease of doing business. Thankfully, Prime Minister announced the GST 2.0, as we would call it, during his Independence Day speech. And hence the expectations are very high from the industry. One is, of course, the reduced two-slab structure, which would simplify GST compliance and probably increase further inclusion of informal sector into the GST regime. At the same time, reduced taxes on most of the consumer goods would mean increased consumption, increased capacity utilizations by the industry, and hence probably increased investments in the times to come.
Extremely encouraging to see the sweeping tax reforms being announced under GST 2.0 by the government under dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. The rationalization of rates has brought relief to consumers and competitiveness to businesses. Especially the GST cut on building materials is a welcome relief to capital-intensive construction industry. A strong domestic performance is likely to translate into a higher export number for our industry. While it was truly heartening to witness India's Q1 GDP growth at 7.8% that enhanced the belief in the resilience of our economy, these path-breaking GST reforms will bring much needed stability to businesses and economy in highly volatile global trade environment. Any short-term aberration in exports would be cushioned by stronger domestic demand, thereby bringing in much needed relief to industry affected by the tariffs. Overall, this would help India take the next step towards becoming a trusted global partner and achieving our vision of developed India by 2047.
The Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Madras, has once again backed the top position in the National Institutional Ranking Framework, or NIRF 2025. The rankings were announced on Thursday by Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, marking the release of the 10th edition of the rankings. In the overall category, IIT Madras retained its top spot, followed by the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, at second place and IIT Bombay at third. In the university category, IISc Bengaluru topped the list with Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru University in second place, followed by the Manipal Academy of Higher Education on the third position. In the management category, IIM Ahmedabad was ranked as the best management institute in India. The NIRF was first introduced in 2015 to provide a transparent and comprehensive framework for evaluating higher education across the country.
भारत में जितने एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन है, हमारी अपेक्षा है आने वाले दिनों में शिक्षा विभाग तथा अन्य विभागों के साथ एग्रीकल्चर, हेल्थ, ये सारे विभागों की जो एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन है, ये सारे इस फ्रेमवर्क में धीरे धीरे आए। हमारी देश में हमारी खुद की रैंकिंग फ्रेमवर्क बने, इसी उद्देश्य से पिछले 2015 में इसकी कल्पना की गई।
The National Human Rights Commission hosted a national conference on the rights of transgender persons at the India Habitat Centre in New Delhi today. Themed Revamping Spaces, Reclaiming Voices, the conference highlighted issues of inclusivity and dignity for the transgender community. The inaugural session witnessed the release of an NHRC report on Garima Griha shelters, followed by discussions on strengthening support systems. Sessions through the day focused on institutional care for gender non-conforming children and elderly transgenders, building a fair and inclusive law enforcement framework and unlocking opportunities, employment opportunities, while celebrating stories of triumphs. Experts, policymakers, activists and community representatives came together to chart a roadmap for empowering transgenders in every sphere of life.
I'm the first transgender monitor, special monitor by the National Human Rights Commission, and I thank the chair for organizing such a beautiful event, and it's a historical event. You're discussing transgender issues, pointing out the issues of the entire community on such a large platform. I really am very happy, and there is a lot of community members all across India. We are really excited about the conference.
Fortunately, India is far ahead of several other countries in recognizing the rights of trans persons. We may not have reached an ideal level, but we have certainly advanced to a great extent. This is because for the first time in the history that the three pillars of democracy in India, namely the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, have come together to transform the philosophy of the Upanishads into a constitutional philosophy, and then to translate the constitutional philosophy into a parliamentary enactment.
On to Europe now. Some 30 Western leaders are currently holding talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over security guarantees for Kiev in the event of a peace deal with Russia. The summit in Paris of the Coalition of the Willing brought together leaders from Europe, Australia, Japan and Canada, though only some attended in person, with many chose to join via video link. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff also joined the meeting in person. Members of the coalition, which does not include the US, have talked for months at various levels to define their prospective military support for Ukraine. Germany has been in the economic doldrums for 3 years, despite the government promising reforms. Recent data doesn't show much strength. Amid the crisis, CEO of the German multinational investment bank Deutsche Bank, Christian Sewing, has said that the government needs an autumn of reforms. He added that reforms should be done audaciously and not just talked about. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, hi, thank you for being with us. What reforms is Christian talking about?
Well, it's mostly structural reforms, and those, of course, are hardest to do. He says that the investment package that the government has already put together was definitely a step in the right direction. Remember, the government promised to invest 500 billion euros in the military and defense sector and another 500 billion euros in infrastructure. That is huge, but, and that's what we're not just hearing from Christian Sewing, the banking CEO, but it's actually been brought up many times. There's a long wish list out there. Less bureaucracy, a more speedy way to approve investments, including new buildings and new plants, lower energy prices, of course, and more flexibility on the labor market. Now, there are some projects the government is working on, but we're hearing from that banking meeting that people in the business fear that none of this is happening fast enough and that foreign investors are starting to lose faith in Germany.
Okay, thank you, Lars. Lars Holter there reporting from DW Berlin. The 11-day 50th Toronto International Film Festival begins today, with the opening film being the world premiere of the documentary John Candy, I Like Me, directed by Colin Hanks and produced by Ryan Reynolds. 291 films from 50 countries, including from India, will be screened at the festival. DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya reports from Toronto.
Have you seen the 1975 iconic Indian film Sholay? In case you haven't, or if you wish to see it in its brand new avatar, consider coming to the Toronto International Film Festival. A special screening of Sholay in its restored 4K version is going to be held here at the 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival. The restoration work took nearly 3 years and utilized archival materials from Mumbai and the United Kingdom. This restored version had also premiered earlier this year at Italy's Il Cinema Retrovato Festival. The screening honors Sholay as a legendary film that redefined Hindi cinema and continues to be a cultural phenomena even 50 years after its original release. Alongside Sholay, a digitally restored 4K version of Satyajit Ray's classic Arinyer Din Yatri, or Days and Nights in the Forest, will also be showcased. The restored version of Ray's film had premiered at the 78th Cannes Film Festival in May this year and will now have its North American premiere at TIFF. Both the screenings are a tribute to Indian cinema's rich legacy. A number of other Indian films and a landmark web series will also be screened. There is high anticipation from Neeraj Ghewan's Homebound, as it is executive produced by highly acclaimed American director and producer Martin Scorsese and features actors like Ishan Khattar, Vishal Jetwa and Janhvi Kapoor. It got a 9-minute standing ovation when it was screened under the Uncertain Regards section of the Cannes Film Festival this year. After that, it was selected for screening at the Gala Presentations category at TIFF. Bayan, directed by Bikas Ranjan Mishra, is a tense detective story tackling sexual abuse accusations. It will have its world premiere at Toronto. It is the only Indian film selected for the Discovery section at TIFF, which highlights debut and sophomore features from emerging filmmakers. Monkey in a Cage, also titled Bandar, directed by Anurag Kashyap, will also have its premiere in Toronto in the Special Presentations section. Hansal Mehta's web series Gandhi, starring Prateek Gandhi and featuring music by A.R. Rahman, is making history as the first Indian series selected for TIFF's prestigious primetime program, premiering at TIFF 50. Earlier, at the 48th edition, India's Punjabi film Dear Jassi had bagged the prestigious Platform Award for the best film. Meanwhile, the Bharat Pavilion at TIFF 50 has a firmly futuristic vision. Its focus is on promoting the Waves Bazaar to give a major push to India's creative economy and to enable women to lead the way. India's presence at TIFF 50 has a vibrant mix of mainstream Bollywood, independent cinema and historical storytelling. Its presence also shows the growing global recognition for Indian cinema. But for India, TIFF is not just about exhibiting Indian films. It is about promoting women power in films and also giving further impetus to Waves Bazaar, which aims to make India the global hub in the media and entertainment sector. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Munmin Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. You can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on your fingertips. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.